let's talk Atlanta Falcons. Obviously, coming off the win against the Carolina Panthers, an at times ugly win, but a clearly physically dominating win from Atlanta's perspective. And now the Falcons getting ready for a critical week 2 matchup have made a low key, but I think significant roster move that will propel the Atlanta team, especially on offense, to be even better going forward.
Yeah, Nick. Quite frankly, I think this could be huge for the Falcons to get this offense really going in the direction that we're all hoping for. In this next game versus the Green Bay Packers, you have another one at home. This will be a tough game, so it's good to have it at home before going too straight on the road. But Falcons fans, in the comment section below, we want to know, what are your predictions for the score versus the Packers? Defense looked all right this last game, so maybe you slow down this Jordan Love led Packers team. So let us know in the comment section below, what is the score to the Falcons Packers game going to be? But Nick, let's get on into it. What move did the Falcons just pull off?
Yeah, let's go ahead and pull up the story. This is from Falcon Report, highlighting directly after the win, right? So this was something kind of potentially percolating. All right, from the report, the Atlanta Falcons are making a small move to the roster on Monday, just 24 hours after the week 1 win against the Carolina Panthers. According to the team, return specialist Godwin Igwebuike has been cut. He played in 2 offensive and 8 special team snaps in the win against the Panthers. Igwebuike was called up to the active roster for Sunday's game because kick returner Cordero Patterson was sidelined with a groin injury. However, with Igwebuike cut, that could mean Patterson will make his 2023 debut in week 2 against the Green Bay Packers. I don't think it could be. I think Patterson definitely makes his debut. And look, to be honest, watching the film, watching that performance against the Carolina Panthers, it's clear they were missing him. Robinson was spectacular. Algier was Algier. Kyle Pitts made a couple key plays, certainly down the stretch. London had at least one drop that I remember, not a big game from him. Desmond Ridder wasn't great out of the box. It's clear to me that Patterson, being that joker, being that X factor, the guy that can line up everywhere and, of course, return kicks, that was one element missing from the game against a very good Carolina defense. They're going to play another very good defense in the Green Bay Packers. Having your X factor guy back into the fold will be huge for them. We saw with the Kansas City Chiefs, even with the great Patrick Mahomes missing their X factor guy and Travis Kelce, the problems it had for Mahomes and company against the Detroit Lions on opening Thursday night. I think Atlanta had some of the same or similar issues missing Patterson. It'll be great to have him back. And look, we talked about Igwebuike when he was first brought into Atlanta. He's a guy, this is not some scrub. He is a quality return specialist. He's essentially Cordero Patterson light. That's what we liked about the move for Atlanta, bringing him in as an insurance policy. You don't get rid of Cordell Patterson light unless the real thing is ready to go. And I think this move will be huge for Atlanta because it means Patterson's back into the fold. But all right, Miles, let me throw it over to you now. What are your thoughts on this move and what Cordell Patterson could mean to this football team against the Green Bay Packers?
Yeah, Nick. I think this, like you said, clearly, I think Patterson is going to make his debut versus the Packers. I think this is going to be a big move for them because, like you said, this is a young roster. A lot of weapons. A lot of people look good. Robinson looked very good, I think, in his first game out. Tyler Algier got the ball rolling, running things. They didn't do too bad. But the dynamicism is not showing the extra oomph that Cordero Patterson had isn't really showing like it did last year. So I think his addition to this offense is going to be huge. But also, this is a young team. And Cordero Patterson, I feel like he's the veteran glue guy. He's the one that holds this offense together, pushes them to get going. So I think bringing that back into the fold, especially being on the field, having that is going to be really, really important. But also, whatever we want to call him, X Factor, Joker, I think they labeled him. He's really leaning into that as well per his Twitter bio. I think that is going to be huge too because when Robinson is out there, he was able to line up, but you could kind of focus on him, whether he bounced around in a receiving role or a running role. With Patterson out there, you have 2 guys that can really bounce around this formation. That is when we think that the Falcons plan against the Packers could really shine. Having these 2 guys float around the field, you never know who's running, who's passing. They could be out there in any iteration of a formation. That was the key. Not able to key in. You have 2 guys that can kind of be, like an amoeba offense per se to the old amoeba defense. I think this could be very, very interesting for the Packers going forward, against the
Yeah,
Packers going forward.
Yeah, well, and you brought up a great point of the fact that him adding into that offense will add another wrinkle in terms of what they'll be able to do. Because I think Atlanta looked the best, in my opinion, when Algier and Robinson were in the game around the similar time, kind of two running back sets. And I think the touchdown throw to Robinson was with Algier, or at least another running back was in the game at the same time. Because when you have a guy who's a running and receiving threat and pair him in the game with a guy who's also running and receiving threat, defenses, they're just not set up. Defensive coordinators don't have an answer to that. And look, you can't have Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier together all game, every play. They'll just exhaust themselves. You just physically can't do it. But if Cordero Patterson is healthy, you can, right? Because you can have a mixture of Bijan and Patterson, mixture of Algier and Patterson, Algier and Bijan, right? There's a lot of different combinations you can keep throwing out there to keep defensive coordinators just totally flummoxed while also resting your guys. I think that's what was missing from the Atlanta offense. There was clearly a number of series where it just looked like they just were struggling to come up with a way to create offense, and it clearly was Patterson was missing. We see this all the time. Like I said, you brought it up, or I brought it up with the Travis Kelce missing. We've seen it with a lot of great offenses. The Dolphins, they lose Tyreek Hill. They don't look nearly as good when he's hurt, right? This is just a real thing that happens. When your X factor isn't playing, your offense doesn't look nearly as good. Patterson, based on this report, is likely to return, and I think we're going to see an explosion. 24 points against Carolina, kind of an ugly 24. I think they play Green Bay at home. I think they light up the scoreboard a little bit. I'm looking for the Falcons and specifically Cordero Patterson to have a massive week 2 performance.